Good morning. The regular meeting of the Board of Directors of the Golden Rain Foundation of Laguna Woods is now called to order. Today is Tuesday, April 2nd. It is 9:31 a.m. The meeting is called to order. There is a quorum. We will next have the Pledge of Allegiance led by Director Bada.
Good morning, everybody. Please stand for those who can and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and
We're live and on air, so we are being recorded. I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda? Hearing none, the agenda is approved. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes of March 5th and March 21st of the irregular and agenda prep meetings? Hearing none, the agenda is approved. Oh, minutes are approved. Thank you. We got two corrections here. Next is the report of the chair. My remarks are very brief. Let me just welcome our new board member, not new to the village, but new board member here in GRF. That's Donna Rain Solstack. Okay, and she is formerly on the third board and as treasurer of the third board. So we are really pleased to have her join us. Welcome to GRF. All right, with that, I'm going to go to the CEO report.
Thank you, President Hopkins, members of the board, and audience. It's my pleasure this morning to give the CEO update. As you know, the budget process kicked off recently with presentations on the 2024 baseline level of services provided in each department. To view the entire budget calendar, which is shown on the screen before you, please go to the News tab on the Village website, and this will give you all the dates for the upcoming meetings for not only GRF, but the mutuals as well. As we head into the budget preparation cycle, I would like to take this opportunity to highlight some of the cost-saving measures and service improvements recently implemented by VMS departments. In the Office of the CEO, bus driver costs for an estimated savings of $14,000 to $22,000 annually. This also frees up more than 270 hours of staff time. We talked about the community tour experience, a nearly 20-minute video that takes viewers to all destinations on previous tours, and then some is available on the village website. On the home page, click the community tour experience directly under our tagline, where new adventures begin. In the Community Services Division, the division completed lease applications are now mailed or dropped off by applicants instead of staff printing electronically received documents. This saves an average of up to 3 hours a day in labor costs and an estimated $10,000 to $16,000 annually in printing costs. Village Television recently hired 2 part-time on-air hosts, replacing Lisa Hart, who retired. This generates about $50,000 in savings annually. Transitioning from full to part-time employees saves approximately $10,000 in employee-related compensation. But most importantly, these talented professionals require fewer work hours, saving $40,000 annually. Village Television has also incorporated AI technology to generate closed captioning for all programming broadcast on the channel. This saves $40,000 to $50,000 annually. This is accomplished using the video server, which records, plays back, and generates closed captioning for all programming on the channel. In security services, Security personnel now repair gate arms dislodged from the controller box and reset gate arm systems when they fail, saving approximately $28,000 annually. The cost savings is significant as the vendor charges $235 per response, with an approximately 120 incidents per year. Staff's actions also reduce the time elapsed for loss of function. Security Services has also restructured the Security Services officer presence here in the community center, saving more than $41,000 annually. In landscaping services, we're adding higher sides to our dump trailers to increase the capacity for debris and mulch by 150%. This results in trip reduction, saving $72,000 annually in labor costs. And this is for both hauling debris away from the manors and distributing mulch to the manors. In financial services, we've identified a new washing machine vendor who provides direct shipping, which will save $11,000 in shipping costs this year, and an estimated $3,000 annually thereafter. This also saves 1 week on delivery time. Another change in financial services involves resident services generating cash receipts electronically, eliminating the use of a receipt book, and this saves about $100 per request for a duplicate receipt. Before, when a resident requested a second copy of a receipt, the financial services account clerk had to search manually through various account receipt books to find the receipt copy. Our information systems department rewrote the software program we use to check in residents in the front lobby here, and this is the sign-in queue for resident services. This saves between $8,000 and $15,000 annually. The new software program mimics the older system while adding a advanced reporting tool, which allows staff to break down service levels for departments using the queuing system. Information Services is also building in-house microcomputers for gate entry and guest lookup with the Dwelling Live system, and this will save $8,000 to $14,000 annually, depending on how many gatehouse kiosks we have to replace in a given year. In recreation and special events, Recreation manages the golf operations and maintenance staffing during poor weather to include only needed personnel, saving $1,000 per rainout day. Recreation has also updated recreation coordinated classes, instructor contracts to reflect a 70-30 split after many years at 80-20%, increasing revenue to GRF. I would also like to touch briefly on continuous process improvements by our departments. In resident services, the new resident services callback feature alleviates phone traffic during peak call times and reduces hold times. Residents who call during peak times may leave a callback telephone number as an alternative to waiting on hold and receive a return call in accordance to their order in the telephone queue. In February, more than 1,000 callbacks were made with an average wait time of 3 minutes and 40 seconds. As a reminder, residents are encouraged to call or visit resident services during off-peak hours, which are daily from 1 to 4 p.m. in the afternoon, and during midweek versus Monday morning when the call volume is the highest. In landscaping services, we have ordered new brush shredders that can be maneuvered to hard-to-reach areas, reducing overall volume of brush handled and the number of dump trips. We're also investigating the use of a brush shredder, that shreds directly into bags, reducing handling time and clipping volume. This will be used by our ticket crews, increasing the amount of tickets they can service without having to dump debris. In general services has developed a rain gutter cleaning schedule that will assist our gutter contractor and inspection staff to stay on schedule and complete the annual rain gutter cleaning program on time. The schedule will also inform residents when they can expect this service to be performed at their manors. Maintenance and Construction has developed a revised after-hours emergency plumbing policy to enhance customer service, also response times, and to manage contractor expenses. This promotes clear lines of communication between security services and after-hour maintenance personnel to ensure resident calls are assigned to the correct work function and minimizing the need for residents to call back for updates while awaiting service. The Manor Alterations Division has streamlined the procedure for processing mutual consent applications, reducing the processing time from 8 to 12 weeks to 2 weeks or less, which is just a very significant improvement. And as a reminder, we like to remind residents how they can help reduce costs. One way is through the preferred delivery method. The mandated November and April mailings cost about $7.50 per member. If 12,000 members were to opt out of the paper mailings, the annual savings would be more than $90,000. In November, about 29% of the owners opted to receive the mailing via email, and this saved about $27,000 in mailing and printing costs. If you're interested in receiving documents electronically, all you need to do is email info@vmsinc.org. And that concludes my update this morning. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Siobhan. That's quite a list.
Yes, and I appreciate all that our departments are doing to reduce costs, find better ways of providing services, and so forth.
Yeah, and each month it's quite a list.
Yes.
How much of that list, not specifically, but I know you have a Bright Ideas program.
Yes.
And so a lot of it comes directly from the online employees, not online, but or the employees. A great deal of that come from employees and management top?
One of those items, the electronic agendas, came from a bright idea from a staff member.
Great, thank you. Any comments? Yvonne?
For our illiterate computer people, how can they learn to use the QR code app?
Our fine corporate secretary sitting right here can help anybody as they check into the board meeting.
Yeah, well, we'll definitely help them out once they walk up here.
Okay.
Okay. Any more questions, comments? Thank you again. Okay, now we'll move to the open forum. There'll be 3 minutes per speaker, maximum. And at this time, only the members may address the Board of Directors regarding items that are not on the agenda and within the jurisdiction of this Board of Directors. The Board reserves the right to limit the total amount of time allotted for the open forum to 30 minutes. A member may speak only once during this forum, and the speaker may not give their time to other people, and there should be no audio or video recording by the attendees. And please keep your remarks respectful. Members can attend this meeting by joining the Zoom link or by calling 669-900-6833 or email meeting@vmsinc.org and have your message read to the open forum. With that, we'll open up to the speakers.
First speaker is John Kefferle.
Good morning. I am John Kefferle from 11A Via Castilla, and I've been here a couple of times to the United meeting, and that's concerning a concern I have that the replacement of roofs on our flat Cordovas. We are replacing them with half-inch insulation. And I've been told by the contractor that we could put 2-inch insulation in. My concern is that we're not trying to save the residents some money. And I've spoken to United a couple times, board members. No one has ever reached out about it, asking what's the cost, what would it take to do that. But the saving difference for the members would be huge when it comes to a half-inch compared to the R factor of 2-inch foam board that they would put on when they replace the roofs. At least I would like to see the board investigate that and see what what the cost would be to add that insulation. And so far, in the last year, I've been to 2 board meetings, United, and a open town hall. I'm always told that someone will get back with me. No one ever does. So I'm here to ask that at least investigate that. What would it cost It's a savings to the residents. No, it doesn't save, as talked about, all the savings that you're going to have for all the things you're doing here. That's great, but how about the residents? And with the cost of electric going up as it is, 60% in the last 2 or 3 years, I think this is something that should be looked at, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Michelle Stanton.
Good morning. Dr. Michelle Stanton, 950E. And first, let me compliment your cost-saving measures. It's very impressive. I'm here, in fact, in a related area, and that is that I'm here to. I'm sorry. The clock is still running, isn't it? I'm here to talk about the renovation of Clubhouse 1. And I noticed that over the years, we had a chance to actually put solar energy onto the 19 building, but declined to do that for whatever reasons. Then we had the renovation of Clubhouse 2, and we again decided not to put solar energy onto the top of that building. And here we are with Clubhouse 1, and I understand we're not going to do it again. Not going to do it again. My question really is, why are we reticent not to install solar energy whenever possible? It's a cost-saving measure. I myself have solar panels on my manor for 13 years now, and I don't have an electric bill. I hit a break-even point in 10 years, which was sooner than I thought, because the prices of electricity have gone up. As the gentleman just before me mentioned, they are going up. They're never going to come down. So there are cost savings, obvious cost savings. Maybe we can lower some assessments to some extent, as small maybe, and we can improve the environment, of course. So I'm just wondering, just responses from the committee as to why not solar energy. Thank you.
Next speaker is Suzanne Model.
Good morning. My name is Suzanne Model, and I am president of Concerned Citizens. Our club has operated in the village for 43 years and currently has over 200 members. Last year, partly because Concerned Citizens voiced complaints about the poor quality of the audiovisual equipment in several clubhouses, GRF included funds in the 2024 budget for replacing several antiquated systems. In particular, Clubhouse 7 was promised a new overhead projector mounted in the ceiling and a new, more versatile sound system. Well, we're already into April, and there is no sign of any improvement or plan for improvement. So I come to you today to ask, please don't forget us. This is not an optional or frivolous request. In truth, residents and/or staff should have requested an upgrade of this equipment years ago. The present system is so antiquated that it's actually embarrassing to ask guest speakers to work with it. So I and my fellow concerned citizens ask GRF, please do not delay in turning your promise of a replacement into a reality. Thank you.
Next speaker is Chris Collins.
Good morning, Chris Collins, 3306Q, and I'm here with an update on the work of the Foundation of Laguna Woods Village, which we do on behalf of residents who are experiencing temporary financial crisis. Don't let someone scam you. Avoid financial exploitation. We have all heard the horror stories of older people being scammed, a romantic interest who absconds with money, a fake grandchild calling for help, a contractor who doesn't finish a job after being paid. As older adults age and prepare for the inevitable, They can be taken advantage of. As a result, it is increasingly important that we learn about the dangers of financial exploitation and steps we can take to protect ourselves. Many of us think we're tuned into avoiding scams, but financial exploitation can take many different forms. The next broadcast in the foundation of Laguna Woods Village's televised series entitled Planning for the Inevitable will look at these issues, since older adults can be vulnerable to financial exploitation. Because of the physical limitations, lack of transportation, and a more limited circle of people, older adults often need to become more sophisticated about protecting themselves. Do you know what steps you can take to protect yourself? What are some common scams? How big is the problem? Where can we turn for help if someone, for example, the person with the durable power of attorney is stealing from us? What should we watch out for? These questions and related issues will be the focus of the Foundation's next broadcast, which will be aired on Village Television beginning Saturday, April 6th at 12 noon, and it will continue on every Saturday for the month of April. Tuning in here, Carrie Lloyd, who is a financial advisor, to discuss these issues. Carrie Lloyd has 30 years of experience in financial services and is currently Vice President and Special Needs Consultant with Index Fund Advisors located in Irvine. If you want to view the broadcast on your own schedule, it's also available on the Foundation website, which is the foundation of lagunawoodsvillage.org, under a special tab, which is called Planning for the Inevitable. This website section includes YouTube links for the broadcasts of all our earlier ones. If you have any questions about this topic or the upcoming broadcast, please contact the Foundation at thefoundation.comline.com. And for more information about the Foundation, please go to our website, which is thefoundationoflagunawoodsvillage.org. Please note that donations can also be made using PayPal or a credit card on the Foundation website. Thank you.
Thank you. We have two comments that were emailed in. One is from Barbara Siri, and they stated, "Dear GRF Board, as frequent users of Clubhouse 7, we are continuously confronted with faulty microphones, reverberations, poor Wi-Fi, and difficulty getting sound through the AV equipment so we can show films. Please update the antiquated audio/sound equipment in Clubhouse 7 ASAP. The money's been budgeted, so let's spend it. We hope to see it soon." And then the final one is from Mary Sinclair, and they stated, "Dear GRF, GRF has authorized an update for Clubhouse 7's AV equipment. We offer well-attended programs at Clubhouse 7 every month, and each time are interrupted by screeching mics or failed AV. Could we please have these updates right away? It's an embarrassment to the club and the village." And that is all for open forum speakers.
All right. All right, are there any comments from the directors?
Thank you, Chris Collins. I have to admit, I got scammed this month. I'm very lucky that my credit union caught it before it got paid and notified me, this doesn't look right. This looks like a scam. I had someone call and say, email me and say, your Netflix, I love Netflix, subscription is up. Click this button to continue it. It wasn't Netflix. And when the charge went through, as I say, my credit union caught it because it was a really funny name and it didn't say anything about Netflix, and we were able to stop it. But I had two other friends in the village who also got scammed with people saying, your Netflix needs to be updated or your subscription's up. So be very careful if you watch Netflix and have Netflix, because that's a prevalent one right now.
And let me just add that anything that comes in, any website that comes in through your email or your text, do not click on it. That's where they get you. You come in, it looks like a harmless email, you click on it, and next thing you know, they have everything that they need. So I have two sisters that were scammed in the same way. We were able to prevent them from a loss, but they basically had to go through a lot like you did. Are there any more comments?
Thank you. I'd like to address the Clubhouse 7 comments that were made today. You are absolutely correct. There is a project that is in the planning stage. This is going to include new wireless microphones, remote volume control, antennas, leveling of speakers, and a projector, rewiring the microphones to a rack instead of a wall. And all this will improve the sound quality. Our project manager is working with recreation staff on this and moving forward to get this project completed. And also, as far as the roof comments go, we have responded to Mr. Kerfel at the United Board meetings when we respond to comments that were made. And per our M&C department, the roof insulation is specified per the John Mansfield warranty for the PVC roof cooling system. An additional 1/2 Den's deck roof board is installed under the roof system to provide fire resistance, an added thermal barrier, and moisture resistance. Thank you.
Okay.
I just wanted to add that the next generation technology for display is more so in display boards, not projections or projectors, that where it's cost effective, that you're seeing the larger, like you're seeing in stage productions, you're seeing a lot of display things there instead of projectors being. So we have to be sensitive to the next generation technology that is coming about. Thank you.
Any more comments, questions? Okay, I have a few, or one. On the solar, I've been part of quite a few not-for-profits. Also, when I first came on board, I was asked to evaluate solar from a GRF perspective, not from an individual perspective. And the return on investment at that time was about 19 years. Part of it is that we as a not-for-profit don't get the 30% tax credit, all right? Also, at that time, this is 3 years ago, solar panels were not as efficient. They're getting better, but they were not as efficient. So what is an advantage to an individual is not always an advantage to institutions, especially not-for-profit, unless there's, and this is why the government had to intervene and say, hey, you've got a 30% tax credit. We're constantly looking at it because we're constantly looking at ways to save money. But I don't think any of you would have agreed with a 19-year return on investment. So it's one of those things that we're constantly evaluating it, and it's a great suggestion. It just doesn't work for us right now, and I believe United had ventured into a solar venture, and it did not turn out the way they had expected. So, but we're constantly looking at it, and it's a great suggestion. And foundation update. Okay, with that, we'll move on to the consent calendar. All matters listed under the consent calendar are recommended for action by committees and will be enacted by the board by one motion. In the event an item is removed from the consent calendar by members of the board, such items shall be subject to further discussion and action by the board. Okay. Are there any corrections or amendments?
I move the consent calendar.
Moved and second. Are there any objections? The consent calendar is approved. Next, we'll go in for the, I guess, item unfinished business. Okay. Clubhouse 1, we'll have an update on the Clubhouse 1 renovation. Director Gomez.
Thank you. Good morning, members of the board. I'm here to give you our update on our Clubhouse 1 project. We are starting week 5 of our 24-week project. Things are moving along fairly smoothly. The contractor has initiated the demolition or the removal of the existing windows and is preparing to install the new windows. That work should be completed by next month, the end of May. They've also started removing the partitions in the restrooms and the fixtures for both the restrooms and the showers in preparation for installing all of those new fixture in those items, and that restoration of the showers and the restrooms are expected to be done by the end of June. The contractor has elected to accelerate the exterior painting, so they've moved into that area also. They're making good progress on that. That should be done by next month. And so there's a lot of other miscellaneous items going on inside, but those are the kind of the major construction items that are taking place. And as of yesterday, with a discussion from our project manager with the contractor, they are on schedule to complete as planned by August of this year. So happy to answer any questions you may have. Otherwise, we look forward to coming back next month with another update.
Thank you. Are there any?
Hi.
Hi.
I have the recreation portion update of that. Generally, things are going well, and users and clubs are settling into their spaces. Little hiccups here and there, but nothing major to speak of. And a reminder to everyone that even though the gates may be open at the front of the facility, that is not open for residents to enter for their safety, and security will be called if we find them on site. Currently, the water is off at the facility while they do demolition of the restrooms. This is impacting the bocce court sink, so they are aware of that and will plan accordingly around that. And I think parking has not been ideal here at the community center, but there have been plenty of open spots on the side of the building, so we appreciate everyone's cooperation and patience with that. As reported by the fitness center, they are still busy between about 9:15 till about 12:15. But they are able to manage all users. We think that some users have found other places to go. Other users are going during non-busy times, so that seems to be working out okay. And as a reminder, we did initiate a one guest only policy at all times for pickleball and the fitness center, just to accommodate larger than normal crowds. Badminton and light volleyball are currently playing on a tennis court that was designated for their play only over at the tennis center. And thank you to the tennis club and the users for accommodating their new guests. And we're still trying to be creative to support volleyball, the advanced and the volleyball plus group. Obviously, there are some challenges with the weather, and grassy areas are still pretty muddy and soggy. So hopefully, as things dry up, we might have some other options available for them. And Pool 2 is still closed for annual maintenance until approximately mid-April, and we encourage everyone to check the pool schedules before going. And regarding transportation, we've received some complaints from the San Sebastian community regarding the beeping of the gates, but more the buses running their exhaust and being close to that wall there, and it being bad for the environment. The buses have exhaust fans that run, but the buses are normally turned off, so it's not creating and generating exhaust. The buses, they have the fans that run. Also, transportation is working with the manager and residents of the complex to improve the situation by swapping available parking next to the wall, and they're moving the buses closer to the street to keep them a little bit further away from the community. And they will stay in touch with the manager and the residents of the community to try and make improvements there. So that includes my update. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any comments or questions from the board? Okay. All right. Next is entertain a motion to approve the GRF fee structure for new and non-return cards. This March was the initial notification, is now on 28 days. I'll entertain a motion so we can open discussion.
Read. Okay.
Okay, read it.
Resolution 90-24-XX, GRF ID card fees. Whereas the Golden Rain Foundation requires that all approved residents residing in the village carry an ID card with them at all times. And whereas the Community Services Division issues ID cards when a resident is approved to reside in the unit. And whereas all owner members, non-owner occupants, and tenants are required to return their ID cards at the time residency is terminated, and failure to do so may result in unauthorized entry into the community. And whereas all GRF ID card fees should be identified in one resolution and placed on the website to provide transparency and improve communications. Now therefore be it resolved, April 2nd, 2024, that the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby establishes the following fee schedule related to processing new and non-returned ID cards. For a new ID card for non-owner occupant is $25. For new ID cards for new resident owner members, there is no charge. For new ID cards for lessees, sublessees, renters, lodgers, it is included in the application processing fee. ID card renewals for lessees and Mutual 50, no charge. Non-return or failure to surrender an ID card, $125. Verified loss, destroyed, or stolen ID cards not returned, $125. Replacement card for verified loss or lost or destroyed cards and stolen ID cards with the presence of a police theft report, $25. Resolved that Resolution G94-100 adopted November 1st, 1994, Resolution G95-18 adopted March 7th, 1995, Resolution G96-103 adopted December 3rd, 1996, and Resolution 90-18-35 adopted August 7th, 2018 are all hereby superseded and canceled. And resolved further that the fee schedule shall be placed on the website, and resolved further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out this resolution. I move that we approve the GRF ID card fees. I need a second.
Second? Okay, it's been moved and second. The item is open for discussion. Any discussion? I did receive at least one comment on this from a resident. And can you read that for me, Michaela? I sent it to...
Oh, yes, let me locate it. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So sorry.
Yeah, the issue that the resident had was that we've got an aging population, and many people will lose their card, and that $125 seems a little onerous for something that apparently appears trivial. I lost my card. And so that person was appealing that, is there something different or else that we could do regarding the $125 for a lost card? The other thing that the resident pointed out was that if you lose your card, you're not going to report the loss of a card to the police department.
I can read it. I did locate it.
Okay, thank
it's
you.
from Diana Ropo, and they said, here are some comments from us regarding the village ID card issue. One, village residents who fail to turn in their ID card when they move out, and those who lend their ID card to an unauthorized person to use should pay the highest penalty. Two, residents are encouraged to carry their ID card at all times in the village. This is a community of elderly residents, 30% or more who have impaired vision, and a fair percentage who have diminished mental capacity. There is very good likelihood that ID cards will be lost. Village residents who simply lose their ID card should have minimal replacement fee. Three, residents who simply lose their ID card but not other items such as wallet, driver's license, etc., should not be required to file a police report. The police have enough serious crime or issues to contend with. And four, Residents who have lived here and kept their ID cards for 10 years or more without requiring a replacement and subsequently lose it should be entitled to receive a new ID at minimal replacement cost or free. And that is all from this comment.
Okay. Are there any comments, questions?
I don't know what to say. I tend to agree. It's difficult for the aged sometimes to keep track of these things, but it's like a driver's license. You usually keep your driver's license with you, so keep your card with you. But accidents happen. So do we have to pay $125 to get a replacement? Can we just call security and say, I've lost my card, I can't find it anywhere, and have that as a report? I understand security is very busy. Is there some kind of an electronic form that could be filled out for that kind of a report?
Yeah, I was just looking to see if there's any response to that.
I actually got a response. I support the idea that perhaps a report to security should be adequate as opposed to requiring a report to the police who, as we all know, do have serious crimes to deal with.
So yeah, I tend to agree. It seems a little onerous to be able to have to report that to the police. I think for me, part of it is, how do we value that ID card? We just talked about credit cards, all right? And we lose a credit card, if we found out we lost it, we immediately take action. And it seems to me that we may not value that ID card the way it should be valued. It's not to say that people don't lose them. In my walks, I have found 2 ID cards on the ground, and I immediately took them to the residents because it's on there. But I found 2, so people do lose their cards. The question is, what do we do about it? And that becomes a little challenging because 125 to me seems a little onerous, and I think I like some of the ideas. You report it right away to security. On the other hand, I spoke about this item to a couple of my neighbors, and they said, oh, gee, they had to get another card, and it turns out that the card was given to a relative so that they ease of access. It's a valuable card. I mean, it really is. I mean, this is the country club living, so it's a quandary. I'm in a quandary. I like the idea of it. There has to be a consequence to losing the card and not reporting it.
I just want to say, I believe it's a good resolution. I was a little iffy about it at first, but then when I heard that we had to do this security report, we had an issue with my wife's card and her ID. I did that security report. The security department, they investigated, and they found out that my wife's lease was up. And then I thought, well, honey, evidently you have a lease with me, and I had no idea. So March 19th, they were expecting her to move out.
Did you raise the rent?
I didn't have to show them a marriage license or anything, but it was great that we got it all straightened out. And actually, the adoption of going that process with security really helped. And I just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Okay.
I would like to make an amendment.
Okay.
And before I make it, here's my thought. What if there were an electronic form that they could fill out for security if they lost the card? That way security doesn't have to go through all the paperwork, but we have some way of doing it other than going to the police department and reporting they've lost my card. Okay? So if there are any... Siobhan? You
Siobhan?
I'm going to ask you because you know how busy the security is. Is there something we can do that way?
I would really not want to make a commitment without talking with our security director first.
Yeah, according to the report, there were almost 500 cards lost last year. 300 and 366, I believe, were, and I don't know if this was an estimate or an actual, but 366 were lost, and another 128 were never returned when people move out.
Right, and if people know that they have to report the loss, or it's gonna cost them $125, that's
Yeah.
incentive, I would think, to
Yeah.
report it. But to go to the police department to report it is a problem. So, I'm gonna move an amendment, and then you can vote it down or whatever. I'd like to amend this to say, ID cards with the presence of a police report or a security report. Just to add the words, or a security department report. And we can work it out one way or t'other there.
If I may suggest that we move this to the next month, so that security will have an opportunity to evaluate that. on the
Okay,
workforce.
that's fine, but at this point, then we won't pass this.
Right.
My recommendation is don't pass it yet.
Right, don't pass it pending.
You can make a motion to table the item for next month's
We
meeting.
can make a motion to,
Table?
not table, please don't. Just postpone it till next month.
Okay.
Postpone it till next month.
So you want to amend your motion?
Yeah, I'm going to change my motion, since you haven't put it on. I move that we postpone the decision on this report until next month, when security's had a chance to investigate, okay? Thank you. And is
Okay.
there a second?
This, in a second?
I'll second, but I'll also put it on the security committee's agenda for this next month, for this month.
Okay.
Okay.
Vote?
Move, okay,
Moved and
are you ready for
seconded.
the vote?
It's
Okay.
been moved and seconded that
It's been moved and seconded that we
postpone.
not table, right? Postpone the approval of this motion until next meeting.
Any objections?
Are there any objections? Thank you. Okay. Hearing none, the motion is approved. Okay, thank you. Next is new business. Entertain a motion to approve the Champagne Pops Series exception request. Okay. For the purpose of discussion, I'll entertain a motion.
Right.
New motion?
Do you have a resolution?
There's no resolution.
Oh.
There is none.
There is no resolution.
All
but
right, I
there's-
will make a motion.
Okay.
To what?
However, I am going to make a motion to disapprove
No.
the Champagne Pop Series exception request. I don't believe that we as a community are here to make money for individual businesses in our community. And that's what's happened over the last few years. One resident is making a very large amount of money on this, and we as a community are getting almost nothing. So I would like to disapprove the exception request for them.
I'll
Okay.
second it.
It's been moved and second. All right. Is there any discussion?
Now, you need to have a discussion from the audience. What about the appeal?
So do we want to hear a discussion on the appeal from the residents? Okay. Yes. Okay. So are there any residents that have?
Yes, I have a list of residents who requested to speak. The first one is Mildred Brown.
I understand you're upset that I've earned money these years, but I brought a lot of value to the community. For those of you who are not at the last meeting, I'd like to give you some background. From 2002 to 2008, Champagne Pops was run by an outsider named Seymour Rubenstein. I was one of his committee members. Just as the 2008 season began, Mr. Rubenstein was diagnosed with an inoperable brain tumor. He had already paid deposits for his performers and asked me if I would continue the season for him because he liked my work and ideas. Since I'm a resident and it was and still is against policy for residents to earn money, he and I had a meeting with the head of the recreation department and the manager of the PAC. Both agreed to make an exception and allow me to continue the season. When the season ended, they asked me if I was willing to continue because only one other person was doing shows at the theater and the theater needed shows. I agreed and they gave me a contract. This has continued up to today. Every year for 16 years, GRF has given me a contract to do the champagne pop shows. The recreation department staff has changed 3 times over the course of those 16 years, and all new recreation staff approved and signed my contracts. Over the years, there were some complaints by residents over the agreement, but the shows brought value to our community, and the recreation department continued to give me contracts. I assure you that I neither held a gun to anyone's head nor hypnotized or blackmailed anyone in the recreation department in order to be able to run the shows. The initial contract was based on an oral contract, which according to Cornell Law School report of May 2022, said that under California contract law, verbal agreements are just as legally binding as written contracts. On top of the verbal agreement, I also got a written contract, and GRF continued to grandfather in my shows based on those agreements. At the CAC meeting, one of the male board members, whose name and exact words I don't have, basically said that if I've been doing the shows for so many years, after 10 years or so, it was solid. Yet last month I was told that I could no longer do shows this way because it was against policy for residents to earn money. As far as I know, it was always against policy, and yet I was given an exemption and continued to be supported over the course of 16 years. Please note that GRF benefits from this agreement as well, as I'm paying the exception rate of $3,000 for each auditorium rental, and rather than the $400 that the clubs pay. Also, unlike most shows in the PAC, my shows typically sell out, so GRF makes money on ticket sales as well. I was told by the recreation department that I could continue doing shows if I gave 30% of my income to GRF. I turned down that offer. Since I'd been planning to retire at the end of next season, I asked just to be able to continue like I had for one more year. The CAC board voted against both options, both this option and the 70-30 split. So I'm appealing to this board to give me one more year as it was in my past contracts. If you don't agree, I'd be willing to do the 70-30 split just so that I can run the 2025 season and fulfill my obligations to the performers who are lined up and to my subscribers. I hope you will do that.
Okay, Yvonne? Or are there any more?
Oh, I'm sure there's dozens.
Okay, dozens. But I'll
But-
ask you to comment, Yvonne.
You know, I want to thank you, Millie, and your company, PCE, for your work in bringing the champagne pops to our community. And I'm really sincere when I say that. That being said, all companies that do business with GRF have to abide by the rules of GRF. And that's all I wanted to say. And anybody else can go ahead and speak. You,
Okay.
is there somebody else? No,
Let's hear from the from the board first, and then we'll go to the audience.
I just want to say, like with West Coast Internet, it's 50-50, right? I mean, the different companies, it's different percentage. 30,
West Coast
70
Internet is
is a
not a
very...
resident. They're not a resident.
No, but I'm just saying, that there's, it's a good deal, that 30-70,
Okay.
that
Good deal for who? A good deal for who?
That's not public information. Egon?
When we were first told about this, we were not aware of the fact that you were paying $3,000 for the use of the auditorium. I think that's a pretty fair fee compared to the $400 and some it normally costs. In my opinion, you're absolutely right that you have provided very, very fair value within the community at a time when no one else was providing it. Just the last year or two, all of a sudden everybody caught on, and now we've got many clubs doing the same thing, which is fine, and GRF has also done it from time to time. I never seen what the return is. I wondered how well the GRF shows are doing. Some of them are filled up, some are not. Not everything that GRF does always works out well. And you've done that extremely well, and it's very unlikely that we could do a service that sells out and provides that many services for the community. And the fact that you're only asking for a 1-year extension for a contract you've had all this time, I think we should seriously consider that. Where I live in Gate 14, GRF instituted a parking charge for the people that park on that one block of a street. I don't know why we did that. Just like, all over Laguna Beach, you have to pay to park, where other communities allow you to come in. Well, what happened on that one little road is people stopped parking there for the most part. So we didn't get any extra money. We just put in a rule and we dissuaded people. That was just a note on how effective some of the things that we decide on work out. Personally, I'm in favor of giving her, granting it and discussing it in that context for 1 year. Thank you.
Okay. Any more comments, questions from the board? All right, well.
You know what, I do need to ask. Two things. We don't know what actual costs are incurred by Champagne Pops for talent and hospitality. We don't know the actual cost. The other thing was that under the proposed contract of the 70-30 split, that room rental fees would no longer apply, so that would be saved as part of the contract. I just want to remind you there's two parts to that. I'm inclined to, I would like to see you accept the split and not have to pay the room rental fees anymore. That's my thinking.
Any comments from Donna?
Yeah, just to clarify, the offer was made to follow the contract, the regular contract, and if that happened, there would be no reason to deny it, I would think. So as the new person, I would need an explanation, but if in fact, it does provide a value to the community, as do most things presented at the PAC, that's what it's there for. So the clarification that, because someone can ask for it and then we would extend it without requiring following the contract, that if the contract would be followed as everyone does, and yes, get rid of the $3,000 fee, then I can't see that there would be an objection.
Okay. Bill?
I was just curious as to why this came up.
We'll hear from Recreation. Allison?
Several people came to us and had concerns about how they are not able to have the same deal. It is a policy violation. We do very specifically in our policy state that a resident cannot have a business, and that reservations, the exact wording here, that it can only be booked by individuals for private or social gatherings. So there are two policies there that don't fit in line with this. Yes, it's been happening for a long time, but it's my job to take these policy, and this is a request for an exception, so we brought it to the CAC and to the board for an exception to that request.
So if I could, I mean, what happened is that residents complained that they shouldn't be allowed to do this.
They can.
Yeah, and when I started working here, it was, in learning how everything has worked, and many things. And this isn't the only policy violation that is happening right now in recreation, but it's our job to look through and to sort through and to make sure that we're consistent with all of our policies. So that's what this is. There were several residents and clubs that have made comments about it, so it was brought onto the radar and something that we realized that's just not consistent with policy. So it's up to the board to determine if an exception is necessary for that.
Thank you.
Just one question. Can recreation duplicate or replace this event? It seems to be an event that is welcomed by the residents. So what would be the replacement for this type of activity?
Well, again, this is a popular series. It's been something that's been going on. It's 4 concerts a year that happen under this name that is a popular name, and it does attract people. We do have very capable recreation staff that have been booking shows. We recently had 1 sellout show and 1 near sellout show. In the series, we have to work and look at what all the clubs are offering, try not to offer the same entertainment, because we do work on behalf of the entire community. So we're not working off of membership, we're not working off of series membership, we're working off of what the entire community wants to see, and trying to offer different types of entertainment. So yes, we're gonna offer some tribute bands, we're gonna offer a big name act once a year. We're playing with what we're doing as well to kind of support what's already happening, but we have had some recent success with multiple shows that are sold out or near sold out, so.
Thank you.
So I have one further follow-up. In looking at this, it says reservations by individuals can only be booked for private or social gatherings. Am I correct that if the reservation is by a club, that's not an individual?
If you'd like to speak, you have to fill out a card.
Oh, I do?
Yep.
Can you respond to, he had a question about the rule.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
You call our attention to the rule. It says reservations by individuals may only be booked for private or social gatherings. The complaint we got was from clubs. Are clubs not allowed to make bookings for events?
Clubs can make reservations, but they're only allowed to have a certain amount of fundraisers to raise funds for their groups. They're not allowed to operate as a business. So they can provide their entertainment, they can recoup their costs, they can have a certain number of fundraisers to help support their annual membership and their activities, but they are not allowed to operate as a business.
And so if this question, I mean, if this issue is raised by a club, it would be okay? If there was a club that wanted to put on the Champagne Pops series, would that be compliant with our?
Not if they were generating a profit and acting as a business. If they took the name and they were recouping their costs only through their ticket sales, then that would be okay. But generating a profit is not allowed.
All right, thank you.
Egon?
Yeah, well, first of all, just on that comment, then you got a real big problem. A question from Millie. You said you're going to retire at the end of 1 year. Yes. Had you made an approach for anyone to take over that service? No. You had not. So when you retire, it sunsets. Okay, thank you.
Donna, did you have a question?
Yeah, I still, Joan Millman had said something about if it was following the regular contract, but I'm hearing that a resident couldn't do that. So is there a way to get around that, to permit the regular type of contract so that the proper split is done? And it's my ignorance, but I think I share the same knowledge base as most of the folks out there, since I know.
That's the exception that we are voting on.
Do you want to?
Yeah, we're voting on whether or not there should be an exception.
But it sounds like there are two possible exceptions. One exception would, and that's where the confusion lies. One exception would be to continue as before, the $3,000 paid to GRF, and then whatever money is taken in remains as profit. The other exception would be do the same split. It's still an exception, but do the same split as is done, if that's correct. I just need to understand it.
So just to clarify, one is the alternative suggestion that the resident made of a 70-30 split, and the other is to not do anything and essentially say no because it's in violation of the rules. Is that what you're proposing? Yeah. That's what this is about. Except I don't believe the committee turned it down. So now there's a reoffer of 70-30.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
That's where I'm confused.
Yeah.
Is there's
So,
a
yeah,
reoffer, so
yeah,
we have two possible ways to do an exception.
Yeah.
It's not just yay or nay. So.
No, it is.
Yvonne, I got it.
If she's asking for an exception, so that's what we're voting on.
Mm-hmm.
In
Okay.
so she said that she would do a split, okay? So now she has to come back to CAC, or she has to come back to Recreation.
So if we accept 70-30,
We can't.
We
That isn't
can't.
what this says.
it's not part of the motion.
That's not part of the, yeah.
Right,
that's
the
not part-
motion is to move forward with.
Yeah, yay or nay,
Yeah, yeah.
okay? And I'm saying, then she has, she and her company has the option of coming back to Recreation and
Offering. Got it.
whatever it may be.
So what I'm hearing is if it's yay or nay on the original decision from the committee, which is turn it down. If there is an alternative proposal, that's the 70-30. That would have to go through committee again.
Back to,
That's what
just
I'm
back
hearing.
to Recreation.
Okay.
Yeah.
But if we turn it down on the basis of violation of rules, there is no comeback to the 70-30.
Oh, no. No.
Okay, is there?
Can I, President Hopkins?
Help her.
Yes.
Can I try and clarify that, yes, the initial request for exception was for the deal that currently stands that we've been doing for many years with Millie.
Okay.
That was brought to the CAC. They voted it down. An alternative motion was made to accept the 70-30. That was also denied by CAC. So I really don't see that it going back to CAC. They've already denied it twice. I think on the floor right now is for you to consider the exception to the request that was presented by Ms. Brown. And if that is denied, then to consider an alternative option, which may be the 70-30 split. But I think taking it back to the CAC would be,
Right.
they've already
Right, we
considered
voted on
it.
that.
She just take it back to you, to Recreation, right? If she accepts the 70-30 split, if we deny this request, then she'd come back to you for the 70-30
No, I think the board needs to
Yeah, the board.
determine
Go
if that
through it again?
70-30
The board.
split is, yes.
Committee already
That isn't on, that isn't
All right,
what's
so-
on this.
So just to clarify this, we're voting up or down on the issue. Okay, I mean on the 70-30.
No.
Okay. All right, I got it bad. I got it wrong. So
We're voting on whether to, or not to accept the exception,
exception.
not the 70-30, just
So
the
just
exception.
the exception of continuing with the event.
The program as it is.
Yes, that's what we're voting on. Bill?
The Community Activities Committee considered two motions and voted down two motions. And
No.
am I not correct that both those motions are now before us?
No.
No, just one, to continue.
How is that?
I think we should hear from Yvonne.
Yvonne?
Why, me? I'm just saying, policy is that if a business does business with GRF, they have to sign a contract. Every other business that deals with recreation has to sign a contract.
All right,
Ms.
let's
Brown
just-
she's made an offer that has nothing to do with this.
Right.
Okay? Unless you want to change this motion.
This says exception request. And
The exception is
to
to
continue.
go on as she is.
Right. Not
That's
the
a
alternative.
violation of GRF.
Yeah, this is where I'm confused.
My motion was to not accept.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
to not
your
accept
motion.
it, not to accept the exception. So the motion was not to accept the exception.
Yeah.
So you vote yes,
So-
you're voting no.
If there are no more comments, I'm going to close down the discussion. Okay.
There are more comments.
We have
Wait,
comments.
Yeah, we still have a handful of resident
Okay, we
comments.
have a handful of residents. All right, fine, we'll hear from the residents at this point.
Next speaker is Louis Billowitz.
Hello, I'm Louis Billowitz, 295A. I am the president of Chicago Club, and I brought the music in for this year as well as next year. It would seem that I should be the person that would not be in favor of it because there's extra shows. We'd make more money. I'm exactly the opposite of that. When I joined the Chicago Club several years ago, we had about 300 members, and we now have 900. We pack in every single show. It's because I got the idea from Millie and watching what Millie did that we decided to do 4 shows. We now have profit, and we turn that back into the great shows that we're doing, okay? But I'm not alone. There are wonderful clubs out there, like the California Club, wonderful club. The Boomers, they're doing it now too. We've all learned from Millie, and there are now many shows every month. Is that good or bad? It's great, because the people out there have so many choices to enjoy this place that we're at. And it all comes from this legend from Millie. We would have none of that without Millie. Is she asking to keep this thing going forever? She only wants one more year, okay? One more year. I, for one, need everybody to thank her for what she's done for 16 years, okay? I, for one, think that she should retire with dignity, not somebody coming and saying you're not going to have the show anymore. One more year. That's all I ask, so that she can, in the next year, say, this is our final year. And in her final show, there's going to be 814 people standing on their feet applauding this lady, okay? So I am asking you, please give her that 1 year of dignity, that one last year, not for any other reason, but it's because it's the right thing to do. Thank you.
Next speaker is Phyllis King.
Phyllis King, 3405A Cali Azul. How can I follow that? That was fabulous. I'm a personal friend of Millie's. Yes, but I go to the PAC to see her performances. They're wonderful. I want to see them continue. She's not asking forever. Let it happen. I think everybody who gets up and speaks today is going to say the same thing. We love what she does. She loves what she does. She loves show business. Let it stay. Thank you.
Next speaker is Barry King.
I have nothing prepared. I'm just going to talk from my heart. We're also 15-year members of Laguna Woods. We live here for a while. Besides everybody loving the quality of the shows that Millie brings in, it's evident from how many season ticket holders she has. Over 3/4 of the people that attend the shows normally, I believe, buy season tickets, so they're not just buying one show that might appeal to them. The shows are great, but you're going to hear from enough people who are going to talk about the shows. I want to point out another issue. Most of us are elderly people in Laguna Woods. Our eyesight isn't what it was 20, 30, 40 years ago. Driving at night could be a little bit more dangerous than it was for us years ago. Here we have a theater right in our community that provides entertainment. We built the PAC for a reason, to use it. Why not use it to its maximum and let people enjoy the shows without having to drive to LA or to La Mirada or up to Cerritos or La Habra? Let's enjoy the shows that we have right here, and we could get home safely within 10 minutes. Thank you.
Next speaker is Rose Ann Corigliano. Okay, thank you. So if she left, then the next speaker after would be Don Goldberg. Or Dan Goldberg, I'm sorry.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
I'm Don Goldberg, 3288 A, San Amadeo. I've been a resident of this community for 30 years. I'm 96 years old. I'm a former entertainer. I had a band here for 18 years. We did over 150 venues. I first met Millie when she hired me to play music for a private party. And through the years, we have become friends. A lot of you people do not know what goes on to produce a show behind the scenes. Most entertainers, I shouldn't say most, but some entertainers make demands about what they want and how it has to be before they could perform. An example of that was Millie needed a studio musician, a drummer for a act, and the act would not come without a studio musician. Most of them live in Los Angeles. I helped her find one. On another occasion, another entertainer wanted a special instrument. I helped her find that. There are other things that happen when you produce a show. All we were asking for is just what Louis said, that Millie can walk away from this thing in dignity. She has provided an incredible service to this community. When I came here 30 years ago, the show stunk, believe me. And all of a sudden, Millie came. We were drinking champagne outside of the showroom. That's not allowed anymore. She put on, I don't remember a show that Millie put on that was bad. And I don't remember a show that Millie didn't fill up that place. Now, there are other people, there's a couple of people, just individual people, who are trying to get this passed that she can't put on shows anymore. Who are trying to stab her in the back. For what reason, I don't know. I, as president of the New York Club many years ago, and Sharon Beck as president of the Chicago Club, were the first clubs to put on shows in the PAC. And you see what has happened, all the clubs are doing it now. I am begging this organization here to approve one more year for Millie and let her walk away from this thing with her nose and her chin up in the air. Thank you very much.
Next speaker is Carol Saint Hilaire.
Thank you. I'm Carol St. Hilaire, and I'm at 3359 in Monte Hermosa. A little bit nervous here. First of all, I want to say that I really do appreciate everything that Millie has done, but I want to make the point that it is an exception to the recreation policy. I watched the CAC meeting in March, and it was very clear that it's a considerable amount of income that an individual is making by having these PAC events. Whether you do it 30-70 or 50-50 or whatever, from what I understand, the recreation policy is that individuals do not make a profit. Now, many of the clubs have been making reservations at the PAC, and yes, it is a revenue-making opportunity for clubs. The clubs in Laguna Woods offer dinners, they offer music, they offer exercise for their members and the general residents of Laguna Woods Village. And for that reason, the clubs are losing money in some cases because of the expenses. So the clubs use the PACs events to bring in revenue to subsidize the cost so that the meetings and the events can continue to be affordable to the residents. So by having a series, first of all, I think that we can let Millie have dignity because she has the entire 2024 series already here, and I applaud her for that. However, there was a comment that she already has entertainments for next year. It's my understanding that no one is allowed to have any firm commitments for dates for next year's, clubs or series. The other thing is she is a series, and there's an advantage to a series that maybe some of you may or may not know, but they are able to reserve an entire series, reserve dates well in advance, advertise well in advance. Some of the clubs have been denied the ability to have a series. So as a result, they have to wait until the appropriate time before they can advertise, before they can start selling tickets, and they cannot sell from year to year. So my suggestion is that, first of all, we do not allow a resident to make a profit, and secondly, that we do not allow, effective at the end of 2024, for anyone to have a series, because it is a disadvantage to the clubs for the dates, to be able to get a particular good date, and for them to be able to advertise. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Ellen Leonard.
I just wanted to clarify that that clubs, and Carol might be able to help me understand this, is they pay more than $3,000 for an event at the PAC. I think it's like if you're including the crew, the light crew, the other people that they have to hire, it's well into the $3,000 or $4,000 to put on an event at the PAC. So I'm sorry. What did you say? Okay, but what I'm just saying, it was mentioned that the $3,000, it was said like you were the only one paying that. Well, the clubs pay a lot to perform at the PAC.
Never pay more than $1,000.
No. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Please,
yes.
can we have a little
So
respect
they
for the
have to
speaker?
pay for the crew, the lighting crew, the sound crew, and for people to work at the PAC. So I just wanted to make that comment. Thank you.
Thank you. And then we have two residents who sent in letters, so I'll go ahead and read those right now. The first one's from Margaret Klein, and they stated, with regard to Millie Brown, our own recreation department should be running hired entertainment events at the PAC, not a Millie Brown, a person who runs the champagne pops for personal gains. I have no issue personally with Millie Brown. My objection is not directed personally at Millie Brown either. My objection is PAC is a community-owned building. Therefore, events run through PAC may not exist for personal gains, nor was PAC ever intended to be used by private clubs for their own personal gains. With regard to her subscription base, an existing Laguna Woods Village resident on that list should be turned over to the recreation department so that the pop series, or whatever you choose to name it, residents with season ticketing should be honored as such moving forward. We on GRF ruled to stop this when we discovered widespread abuse was prevalent throughout the community. Widespread abuse still exists, and the GRF board has allowed this abuse to proliferate rather than cracking down on it. This practice is not okay. Because of this, many organizations and individuals, in full knowledge that the GRF board has turned a blind eye to this practice, have built large bank accounts, so much so that they even have investment accounts. How is this okay? I rather believe that since this building is a shared cost, our recreation department can therefore decide to either upgrade the quality of entertainment and run it as a break-even expenditure, or hire lesser quality entertainment to run for a profit so that the profit can reduce our maintenance costs. It is my strong opinion that if you do not stop this abuse once and for all, these exceptions become the rules. Thank you for your time. And then one other letter was sent in from Richard Rader, and he stated, I bear no animosity towards Millie, who I know and who is an exceptionally nice person. However, what is being considered today is that Millie, a member of our village, has her own company that has been renting the Performing Arts Center to run the Champagne Pop series, where she retains all the profits. This is contrary to our Recreation Department rules, which make it clear that a Laguna Woods resident may not rent a room for business purposes that result in their personal financial gain. Now that this information is publicly available, it is incumbent on the GRF board to hold that rule and deny Millie's continuance request. In fact, this is what happened at the last GRF Recreation Committee meeting, where 2 separate motions for the continuance were denied. A compromise had been offered whereby profits would be split between Millie and GRF if she were to continue her series. However, if this is approved, this proposal would place our GRF board in the unseemly position of actually assisting a resident to continue to violate the room rental rule. Let's be clear. Millie is not personally responsible for prior oversights that did not enforce the recreation rules, but she has enjoyed considerable financial benefits over many years and is being allowed to complete the series for this year, which is as it should be. Going forward, our recreation department can institute an entertainment program similar to the Champagne Pop series. They can do exactly what other clubs do, like the Chicago Club, which is to contact various talent agencies who can help in selecting excellent talent to replace the Champagne Pop series. Thus, when making your decision today, you should place great emphasis on the statement in the background paragraph that you have been provided, which says the GRF recreation policy states that facilities may not be used to conduct a business by individuals, and reservations by individuals may only be booked for private or social gatherings. And that is all for resident speakers.
Thank you, Michaela. Joan, you had a comment?
It seems to me that the question is, what happens to the profit? California Club, for example, reinvests the profit into the concerts going forward. Does this happen with Millie? And I think that's the question, because if you don't reinvest it into as a separate account going into the forthcoming
Well, of course I
entertainment,
reinvested. That's
then
why
you're
I-
making a profit for yourself.
We cannot have back and
that-
forth with
wait,
residents.
Wait, let me finish. And that's the problem as far as GRF is concerned. You're making money for yourself, and that's what I see as a problem. Not that I don't want the concerts to stop. It's not that. It's just it's logistics. And in one case, the profit is reinvested. What happens to the money?
Okay, let me interject here. After we'll have one more comment after Billy has a comment. We've had a lot of discussion. I think we understand all the points of view here. So I'm going to take the liberty as the chair to Millie, you can speak after this. Yeah, you can speak. To have a response to all of the pluses and minuses that we heard here, and then we'll move on to a vote, because I think we've heard most of the arguments. Would you guys agree? Okay. Millie, go ahead.
In response to a woman who said that I don't pay the technicians, I pay the 3,000 room rental, about $2,000 for the technicians. I pay for the tickets, so it comes to close to $5,000 a show that I pay. And then I bring in the top-notch performers. I could bring in the cheapest acts and have a big profit, but I bring in the best. And then I'm left with a little profit.
Can you share with us what that profit is typically?
It's different every time, and I use.
I'm sorry, can we have silence, please?
No, it's different every time.
Yeah.
Depends how much an act is.
Typically in a year.
5,000.
So that's a net of 5,000 to you every
Yeah.
year. And so your proposal at a 70-30 would be to split the 70-30, okay? And that would be an open book type.
What's an open book?
Meaning that, you know, if there's a share in profit, then there has to be, the books have to be open so that we can make sure that there's a share
Of
appropriate
course.
to that.
Yes.
Okay. And we'll, with no other discussion, let me just add, let me, okay.
Wait, one thing.
And just for an exception, are you going to, is this going to be additive or just reinstating or repeating what's been said?
It's something I haven't heard before.
Yeah.
That just popped in my head.
Oh,
Okay.
It'll take about 30 seconds.
Okay. And then we'll close it down and have a vote.
What I'm assuming, and I wasn't here then, is that GRF probably dealt with this years ago, and that's why they charged Millie $3,000 to rent the PAC, and the club's only $400. They probably thought that was the solution to the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, okay. One more, then we absolutely will close it down.
Hi, my name is David Peavy. My residence is 54730. The main thing here is exception. How many exceptions are we going to make? I've only been in the woods for 2 years, 1 year on the California Club, and I see what other clubs are doing, and I go and try to get it done, and they say, you can't do that because an exception has been made for them. So if you make an exception for one person or one club, then you're going to have to open that up to everybody and make exceptions for everyone. And we can't have that. We have one set of rules that I'm trying to follow as best I can. I know Egon, James, I've seen you around. Joan, I've seen you. A couple names look familiar. But I'm still learning the ropes here. And every time I keep running into the word exception, it's as once just for them, how wide is this exception road going to be? And since the board has already voted down the exceptions, and she turned down the 70-30 to begin with, that's it, it's done. No exceptions for clubs, everybody follows the rules. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Okay, we'll hear from two board members, and then we'll close it down. You know, this is, and the reason I'm allowing all of this is because this is not only a critical issue in terms of an exception, but it's also a sensitive issue, and I think it needs to be brought out that we need to consider all of those issues associated with this. So I hope you bear with us in terms of allowing this to move on to a little bit beyond what we normally do. Go ahead, Eva.
Yeah, just a comment. You know, one of the things I heard from several of the readers is a sense of envy, really. I don't know how much she made over the years, but it is true. For many, many, many years, there was nothing except the champagne pops. Okay, so, and you could consider what she made as being wages for that. I mean, my God, how petty can we be? We have made lots of changes in the rules for lots of people, and I'm just saying we can consider one for this situation and take on the clubs in a separate situation because, believe me, that's something that needs to be looked at too. And we need to set a policy for them also because otherwise we'll be back doing the same thing again. I'm just saying in this one case, let it be. Give her the exception. Thank you.
Okay, Kush, and then we'll...
Director Mother has a comment.
Yes. Thank you. I've been hearing all the comments, and sorry I wasn't there for the last CSE meeting, although I should have been. And it seems to me that we've made mistakes from the very beginning. And the mistakes have been going on, and we call them exceptions. So if we are coming to the end of the rope now, and we need to make one more exception, I think we should do it and let the lady retire, as she says, and correct it after that. So, stop, please. So I feel that we've been going on and on and on, whether we should do this or do that. We should just stop, think for a moment, and make the necessary agreement to get this going forward. And let's not waste too much time on it.
All right, we'll move to a
Thank
vote.
you.
All right, all those in favor
I have
of the...
a comment.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I have heard also all the comments that I have heard from all the directors as well as the spectators. And I see the passion for them to express here for one more year. And I accept that. And I would suggest give them a chance for another year and then change the rule. Thank you.
All right, let's move on to a vote, okay? All those in favor of the motion to grant...
What is the motion?
To not grant. All those in favor to not grant
What does that
the exception.
What does that mean?
What does it mean? The motion...
It's a little convoluted, so tell
Yeah,
us.
it is convoluted because the new
Right here
business
on the
says
screen,
entertain a
it says the
motion
motion
to
to
approve
approve
the
the
Champagne
exception.
Pops exception.
Please
request.
quiet.
Yeah. But, I was about to say, you made the motion, right? And your motion was,
My motion was to not approve the Champagne Pox Series exception request.
right. Okay.
So if you
if we-
vote
so-
yes, you are voting no.
So what does it mean?
Let's
Monica?
explain that.
Please.
Okay? The motion on the table is to not approve it. So, the exception, to not
Can I have
approve
a
the
point of
exception.
clarification?
I'm sorry, yeah.
I mean, the agenda
Yeah.
says we're entertaining a motion to approve, right?
But the motion is changed.
Well, but the agenda says we're going to be
Yeah, the
entertaining a
agenda
motion to
says that.
approve. So we-
However, the actual motion on the table says to not approve that.
I'm not the Roberts person, so
Yeah,
I
I
don't
know,
know if
it's
that's
just a little
appropriate or not.
convoluted, so, but,
So
I just want to make sure that the motion can't be made in the agenda. It has to be made in the meeting. So, just to understand, just so, because we're going to have a vote, okay? So the motion is to not approve
The exception.
the exception.
So if we vote yes, what happens?
Then it will not be approved.
And if we vote no, then it gets approved.
Will be approved.
Why change the motion?
Exactly.
Okay. You would have to get
Because I'm
permission,
difficult.
you would have to get permission from her to change her motion.
The motion's been stated, it has been put on the floor. There is a motion before us.
Okay, there is a motion. So let's, Madam, can you explain the motion?
Yeah, a yes vote means it's no exception. I mean, that's right, no exception. A no vote means, yes, the exception's approved. So just vote what you don't feel. No, excuse me. It's really the opposite. I'm sorry we did a negative.
Would you like
Negative.
But
would you like to withdraw your
Motion's on
motion?
the screen, exactly as it should be.
the motion's on the screen,
Can we vote on
and the
screen?
motion is to deny the request.
Yes, you can vote on the screen.
Okay.
I don't-
So,
yeah.
so if you vote yes, you're denying
No,
the
wait, now
request
the
for an
motion is
extension.
wrong, though.
So
You
vote no.
You're
What the
basically
screen
voting
says
for
is
the
wrong.
extension.
I hate to say this, but on my screen, it says entertain a motion to approve the Champagne Pop Series request.
So it must not have been updated on your screen, but live right now, the motion is to deny the Champagne Pop Series exception request.
Okay, we can't move forward with that on the screen like that.
No, so what you guys are voting for, though, is the motion to deny. So it just isn't updated on your screens, but live currently as you vote,
But-
it's to deny.
Can we get it updated on the screen?
We just.
Because,
No,
you know,
We can't. Let's just go ahead and vote.
It's
you know,
Vote to
this
deny
is,
it.
it's wrong.
Vote
does
to
everybody,
deny it if you-
okay, but does everybody
Okay, sorry.
understand what we're voting on?
Yes is no, and no. Yes is no, and no is yes. Right?
Yes.
Senator Hopkins, because it's a technical issue, if you want, you can have the board vote with their hands, and I can input it manually
Okay.
that way.
Let's vote with our hands. All those in favor of the motion to deny, do so by raising their hands.
Higher, please raise your hands higher. Thank you.
Okay. All those in favor,
What are we in favor of?
all those opposed to the motion, do so by raising your hand. Okay. All right, so, okay, I think that's
One abstention.
Are we done?
Six and one abstain.
Who was the one abstention? Donna, okay, thank you.
Yeah. The motion fails. Okay.
Do we need a motion to approve?
Therefore, the exception is approved. Thank you all for participating. This has been an interesting discussion, and we'll move on. We'll move on to, all right, can we have some order back there, please?
Can we take a 2-minute break?
Can we have some order back there? Can you exit the room?
Please exit quietly.
Folks, can you exit quietly, please? Shh. We still have a meeting going on. Can you exit quietly and do all of your congratulations outside of the boardroom, please? Thank you.
If we could have the residents exit the boardroom and remain quiet.
It is. Yvonne.
Okay, thank you. Out. All right, sorry it took so long, folks, but I thought all of the issues had to be brought out. Okay? All right, next is, new business is entertain a motion for the, to approve the community fitness television schedule. Okay? I'll entertain a motion. Okay.
Could we get silence in the room, please?
Can we get silence in the room, please?
Close the doors.
You know, close the door, please.
Okay. All right. Resolution 90-24-XX, Community Fitness Center Television Schedule. Whereas the Community Fitness Center located at the Community Center moved from the third floor to the first floor in 2016, the televisions were added for the enjoyment of those using the fitness center. And whereas many resident complaints have ensued throughout the years, but complaints increase significantly during election seasons, resulting in arguments between residents and staff being accused of election conspiracies if televisions do not display the news channel of the viewer's choice. And whereas on March 14th, 2024, the Community Activities Committee reviewed and recommended changes to the Community Fitness Center television programming. And whereas the variety of channels was selected as non-competitive and non-controversial, and staff will adhere to these channel selections with the option for discretionary change. And whereas the schedule will be posted near the television and is subject to change based on channel availability, closed captioning availability, or change in programming. And whereas to be consistent with the Golden Rain Foundation resolution for television programming at Clubhouse 1 Drop-In Lounge, staff proposes the following viewing schedule for the Community Fitness Center television. From 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. On TV 1, National Geographic. On TV 2, CBS Sports Network. On TV 3, Destination America. On TV 4, History Channel. On TV 5, the Travel Channel. And on TV 6, ESPN. Now therefore be it resolved April 2nd, 2024, that the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby adopts the aforementioned Community Fitness Center television programming, and resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized to carry out this resolution as written. I move that we approve the Community Fitness Center television schedule as written.
Right, moved in second.
Yvonne seconds it.
Okay, Yvonne. Are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion is approved. Next is entertain a motion to approve the GRF Maintenance and Construction Committee charter revisions.
Resolution 90-24-XX, Golden Rain Foundation of Laguna Woods Maintenance and Construction Committee Charter. Whereas a Maintenance and Construction Committee has been established pursuant to Article 7, Section 7.1.1 of the bylaws of this corporation. Now therefore be it resolved, April 2nd, 2024, that the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby assigns the duties and responsibilities of this committee as follows. 1. Perform the duties and responsibilities imposed upon all standing committees as set forth in the current resolution entitled General Duties of Standing Committees. 2. Serve as liaison between the GRF Board and the Maintenance Division. 3. Review the capital requirements, service levels, and projected revenue related to the Maintenance Division and recommend appropriate action to the GRF Board. 4. Review all unbudgeted requests for programs or capital equipment originated by the Maintenance Division and recommend appropriate action to the Finance Committee. 5. Ensure that the real property, equipment, and fixtures owned or leased by GRF are maintained as necessary to sustain a consistent level of performance to meet the requirements of the community. 6. Direct the managing agent to prepare specifications and contracts used for procurement of goods and services and review and modify design criteria as appropriate. 7. Direct the managing agent to implement capital plan projects per board-approved scope of work. 8. Determine policy governing maintenance standards at GRF facilities with consideration given to aesthetics, maintenance, and water requirements. 9. Work to promote the optimum and most efficient use of utilities at GRF facilities. Resolve further that the committee shall perform such other tasks as may be assigned by the GRF president or the board. And resolve further that Resolution 90-12-09, adopted January 3rd, 2012, is hereby superseded and canceled. I move that we approve this charter.
Second.
Who seconded?
Moved in second. Are there any objections to?
Who seconded?
Kush.
Kush, okay. Thank you.
Discussion? Ready for the discussion?
I have a problem with number 5. Ensure that the real property, equipment, and fixtures owned or leased by GRF. What about all of the trust properties? Are we not to uphold those and remind those and all.
maybe
We're
we
in
should-
charge of all of those as well. And I think that owned or leased by GRF or the GRF Trust should be added.
And the GRF Trust.
Oh, and, yes.
And the GRF Trust.
All right, so let's take a vote on the amendment.
But why?
Because the
Why?
trust,
I'm asking you.
Oh, because all of the trust facilities and assets need to be maintained by GRF as well. That is a duty given to us in the trust, so it needs to be in the charter as well. It's not just those that are owned by GRF. We've got about half and half here.
Isn't that
So just as a
assumed?
point, just as a point of understanding, are there then properties in the trust that are not owned by GRF? And if so, what are they?
Yeah, I think from a technical perspective, they should all be part of the trust, but we're looking into all of that now. I think there's been some errors in the past. So if we say today trust and GRF, then that's all-inclusive.
There are specific, really good reasons why they're not.
Are there properties that the trust owns that GRF does not own?
The GRF owns it, the trust is not in the trust.
So by including trust and GRF, we basically cover all of it
Right.
for this particular motion.
and the GRF Trust.
So entertain a motion to change, to update
No,
the motion.
just amend the thing as amended.
As amended? Okay. Moved and second. Are there
Just to
any-
be clear, the amendment should not be and, it should be or.
No, and.
There are,
And
so we're only talking about properties that are both owned by the GRF and are in the trust. That's
And
zero.
in the
Well,
GRF Trust, we need to.
That's why you're here,
there
Bill.
again.
So,
And/or.
And the
okay,
GRF
and
Trust.
slash or. Does that work? That works. Okay.
What do you say?
All right. Okay, and or. Very, very good. See? All
And
right,
or.
Are there any objections to the amendments? Hearing none, amendments approved. So any objections to the motion with amendments? Okay, so therefore the motion with the amendment is approved. Okay. Next is the racket sports utilization, and that's a discussion. Okay. I'm not sure.
They're here.
Before we go on to that,
Can you get to the mic?
I have a question before we move on to that. I thought we were supposed to do, maybe I wasn't here, the GRF community appointment update.
We passed
We
those
passed
in the
that in the-
consent.
But that was in the
calendar.
consent.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't even hear that. Onward.
Okay, let's move on
Yes.
to the racket sports
But it doesn't
utilization.
make
That's
any
an oral discussion. I'm not familiar with what the issue is, but who's going to lead that? Who put that on the agenda? I defer to you when it's on the agenda, since you ran the agenda prep.
There we go. Are you,
Okay, let's, apparently there are a few here that want to participate in such a discussion, even though there's no issue or leader, so I'm going to defer to our esteemed secretary.
The board placed it on future agenda items in a previous agenda, so that's why we placed it on today's
Uh-huh.
agenda. I'm not sure the reason, though.
well,
Okay.
then let's put it on a future agenda.
All right, well, given, and we're kind of in a state of confusion here, but I do see a few folks who may have something to say, so,
Actually, we saw it on the agenda and we were hoping you were going to talk about it, so we turned up to listen. But if you'd like to talk about the ad hoc committee again, we can do that one.
okay.
But that's pickleball.
No, let's just, let me just say from my perspective, There's a lot of things moving in terms of racket sports utilization. I mean, we've got badminton, we've got pickleball, we've got tennis, and so there's a lot of things going on that are changing.
that's not
I mean,
racquetball.
racquetball is growing, I don't want to say like a weed, but it's growing. And so other sports are changing. And it just occurred to me that the pace of change in this community, where it used to be relatively slow, it is moving much faster and almost like technology. It's just moving faster than sometimes our ability to keep up with it administratively. So it is something that racquetball utilization is going to have to be taken up at some point in time. We can't keep denying that it exists. So I'm going to ask that the Recreation Department and the Recreation Committee come back to us at some point in time with some sort of outline of where they think this is going for the future and what impact it will have on our recreational and racket sports. As we've been with this issue for some time, and it's now we got to take our heads out of the sand and start to deal with it. All right? So I'm going to ask that the Recreation Committee get their heads together. You know, it's not going
We have an upcoming meeting.
Okay, great. I'm glad to hear that. Okay. Yeah, there's some. It's just not going to go away, folks.
I know.
Okay, it's not going to go away.
Can I suggest that we ask that the committee and the Recreation Department report back at our next meeting?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. At the next meeting, report back on something. Be it status. Okay, fine.
And thank you to
So
those who
that
came
that
and
then
waited
that then
patiently.
ends the oral discussion on racquetball utilization. Thank you. I guess the board will take a 5-minute break or as necessary. Okay, be back at 11:35. Full committee. Okay, session back. Oh,
Okay, I have a question about where it says on air. When we're kind of taking a break, are they recording that?
They are, oh, I'm sorry.
They're not. They're not recording. It goes to music where people are seeing.
Oh,
There's-
And it's
I wouldn't
muted.
Want, I wouldn't want The stuff on, yeah.
Okay.
Everyone is, I make sure everyone's muted down here.
Oh, good, good. Okay,
during
so
that time.
I'm gonna gavel down, session back in order. Session back in order. Okay. We'll start with the committee reports. First is the Finance Committee. Director Cohen.
All right, we are doing the treasurer's report. So let's go, we've got the slides. There we go. All right, this first chart includes all revenues and expenses, including those designated for reserves, including investment income, the transfer facility fees, and the GRF reserve portion of the HOA fees. Through the reporting period of February 29, 2024, GRF had a net revenue of $1.4 million with a total revenue of $8.7 million and total expenses of $7.3 million. GRF was better than budget by $541,000 with the total expenses coming in lower than budget by $641,000, primarily due to fewer materials and supplies and cable programming costs as being less than anticipated. This was partially offset by revenue coming in lower than budget by $100,000, primarily due to lower trust facility fees as a result of lower resales than anticipated year to date. All right, let's do slide 2. The next chart displays the operating fund, which excludes the non-operating revenues, expenses, and depreciation. This report shows a favorable variance of $582,000 through the reporting period, with expenses better than budget by $641,000, offset by a non-assessment revenue worse than budget by $59,000. Next slide, please, 3. This slide shows our most significant operating-only variances by category, with green bars representing favorable variances to budget and orange bars representing unfavorable items. Favorables. Overall, we had favorable variances in materials and supplies of $218,000 due to an over-accrual of materials in 2023 for maintenance and construction, general services, and mailroom supplies. In addition, supplies are not yet needed for items such as computers and monitors for various departments, and fleet maintenance supplies such as tires, tubes, and valves. Cable programming franchise fees of $158,000 favorable due to programming contract negotiations that assumes a lower number of billable households and will result in savings for the remainder of the year. And we have clubhouse rentals and event fee revenues favorable by $102,000 due primarily to more event fee and room rental revenue at the Performing Arts Center for events such as King of Queen, Jimmy Buffett, and ABBA Fab tribute bands. All right, let's go. Oh, and we have outside. No, we got to stay there. I'm sorry. Stay with 3. Outside services were $100,000 favorable due to the timing of services not yet needed, such as car washes and auto body repairs for GRF vehicles and lift ride requests for residents. And then our significant unfavorable is broadband services revenue of $131,000 unfavorable, primarily due to a sponsorship generating program in media and communications that was anticipated to be launched in 2024 but has not occurred. In addition, clients continue to allocate less dollars to cable TV advertising and instead go towards other digital platforms. All right, then number 4. This slide shows our sources of revenue other than assessments such as fees and rentals. To date, we have received just under $1.8 million of non-assessment operating revenue as shown in this pie chart. By category, we can see that our largest revenue is broadband services. That's internet, set-top boxes, ad insertion, and premium channels, followed by golf revenue, clubhouse rentals, and fee events, merchandise sales. Other revenue, which includes class fees, additional occupant fees, sponsorship income, RV storage, and equestrian center fees, among others, amount to about 17%. These revenues offset costs and help keep the assessments down. And slide 5. All right, this chart shows, as usual, our largest operating expense is compensation, followed by cable and programming expenses of the $6.5 million, including depreciation. These two categories account for 76% of the total operating expense. insurance, professional, legal, and utilities, fuel, outside services, et cetera, make up the remaining 24. All right, slide 6. All right, the reserve and restricted funds adjusted balances are shown on this slide, starting with the first column on the left. Reserve funds have a combined ending balance of $42.9 million. Restricted fund balances have an ending balance of $4 million. Included in this total are contributions received this year through assessments, trust facilities fees, and investment earnings. All right, the second column shows the work in progress of $9.4 million for reserve and $43,000 for restricted, reflecting the amounts paid for projects not yet completed. And the third column represents the resulting adjusted fund balances of $33.5 million for reserve and $3.9 million for restricted. All right, slide number 7. All right. We have a slide here to show resale history from 2022 to 2024. Community-wide sales total 109 through February 29, 2024. Most of these transactions generate trust facilities fees or the transfer fee that are used as a source of revenue for our reserves. And slide number 8. Right. The listing on this slide gives you an idea of where the reserve money is committed. Of the $30.2 million appropriated by the board for various projects and equipment purchases, the remaining encumbrances against our reserve funds is $22.5 million, primarily for renovation projects. There currently are no appropriations budgeted from restricted funds. And slide number 9. Here we compare our adjusted fund balances to historical balances for the past 5 years, showing that GRF has averaged $29.6 million in reserve funds and $2.9 million in contingency funds. And this ends the report.
Thank you, Director Cohen. All right, moving on to the Community Activities Committee.
No, I guess
You still have the Finance Committee
the
report.
Finance Committee report.
Committee report,
which
sorry.
is that we have met. We've got the also we have the audit
Yes.
subcommittee, which has been meeting, and we're anticipating I think the final report is on Thursday.
Yes.
Here in this room. I think it's at 1:30. I'm not sure, but encourage everybody to come to that. And just so everybody is aware, in I think layman's terms, the purpose of this audit is to determine whether or not the financial statements that are presented to us by VMS correctly reflect, or they are accurate in how the money was allocated. It's not a audit of propriety or anything else. It's just, okay, yes, these reports represent what happened. And that's it for me.
Thank you. Okay, now we can move on to the next report, Committee Activities.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's that time of the year again for the pool maintenance. So I recommend everybody check their pool schedules. And of course, the pool at Clubhouse 1 is going to be closed during the renovations. With the perpetual rains that we've had, their garden centers, the damage was minimal. Also, we lost a tree over on the golf course near Clubhouse 4. Before I could get over there and check on it, of course, maintenance had already cleaned it up. Thank you, maintenance. And our next meeting is April 11th at 9:30 here in the boardroom. That concludes my report.
Okay, thank you. Director Skillman, Landscape.
Okay, the Landscape Committee met in February. We only meet quarterly. So our next meeting will be in May 8th. But some of the things that we will be looking at that meeting are the charging station for all of our electrical tools, which is right now being approved, the plan's being approved by the city. We'll get an update on that as to how we are. With the sprinkler system, we're working with El Toro Water District on the final rebates. I don't think we've gotten those yet, but we'll get a report in May on those. And Clubhouse 1, we removed all of the landscaping so that it didn't get trampled. And we will be looking at what we want to do to re-landscape that when it reopens this fall. And we also added another one that we're looking at, and that's the West Creek. We didn't realize for a long time we were really in charge of West Creek. We are, so we have a couple of contracts that are out looking at West Creek, so we'll get an update on that. And the next meeting is May 8th.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Director Horton, M&C.
Well, we only report. I'm sorry, thank you. Our meetings are only every other month, and I have previously reported on the meeting of February 14th. Our next meeting will be April 10th at 9:30 here in the boardroom. Please come and join us.
Okay, I guess next would be Director Goff-Hoffner.
Yes, the Clubhouse Renovation Ad Hoc Committee met February 27th, and we are going to meet again tomorrow here in the boardroom at 1:30, and we will only discuss the PAC bathrooms and just present the updated charter, which will be updated and very much reduced in scope from what was originally proposed. Thank you.
I think we were also discussing that committee can be absorbed into the Maintenance and Construction Committee. Okay, next is the Space Planning Ad Hoc. This is a temporary committee. I am the chair of that committee. We had a good meeting on March 20th. We had lots of feedback from mostly the clubs associated with I guess the Austin study, where a lot of activities were moved around based on the Austin study, and so many of the clubs had some feedback on that. The next meeting, we're going to start to have alternatives to or proposals. Okay, the outline of proposals to meet our space planning objectives moving in the future. So. All of you interested, and I'm sure that a lot of folks are interested, should join us on April 10th at 1:30 in the boardroom. Again, it's 1:30, April 10th in the boardroom. Next is the Media and Communications Committee. Director Melvin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Media and Communications Committee last met January 15th of this year, and our next meeting will be April 15th. Since we are meeting quarterly, we'll be here at 1:30 in the afternoon in the boardroom. The next part of my report is on the website Ad Hoc Committee, which is being folded into the Media and Communications Committee. And so hopefully at our next meeting, we will also have an update on the website. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you, Director Millman. Now, next is the Broadband Ad Hoc. Director Rosa.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Our closed committee met on February 14th, and our next meeting is scheduled to be on April 19th at this point in time.
Good. Thank you. Next is the Mobility and Vehicles Committee, and that is actually Director Skillman, I believe, even though it says Rothberg.
Yes, we met on February 7th, and our next meeting is May 1st. And one of the main things that we brought over from that is that we will be reviewing the charter for the M&V committee. So,
okay.
May 1st, 1:30 here in the boardroom.
All right. Next is the Security and Community Access Committee. Again, Director Skillman.
All right. All right, Security Committee met February 26th here in the boardroom at 1:30. One of the main items that we've been looking at is updating our traffic rules. Our operating rules for traffic have not been updated since 2020. So we had a workshop on March 27th. We got through about half of them. We have another workshop coming up, which we expect to finish before our next meeting, which will be on April 24th. So getting a room and getting that other one done is, it was a really good meeting. We spent 3 hours going and we only got through about half of them. So that's our main thing for our next meeting, will be to look at what we've done on those.
Okay. Director Skillman again on the traffic hearings.
Okay. Traffic hearings, we had 7 cases, 2 were dismissed, and 5 were found guilty. And one of the things that we found with the traffic hearings that had been announced at Security Community Access in our director's report, but had not kind of gone over everybody's head, is that we have a 2-month trial period going on in the village right now, which is a no-stop violation. Speeding and stop signs. They are taking videos and pictures of license plates, but they are not physically stopping the car. Then a violation is sent to the person. This is being done very commonly in cities all over Orange County, and we thought we'd try it. I have to say, I personally am not in favor of it. I think that stopping the person for the violation in our demographic is very important, because if you wait and they just get something in the mail, they forget that they did it or how they did it or whatever. Plus, when you see somebody pulled over, you think, okay, our security's on the job. They're looking at it. So we will be discussing that at Security Community Access. And that's about it for the traffic hearings.
Just a quick question. What initiated that change in the proposal?
It was an expediency thing. And as I say, they're doing it at many, many cities throughout Orange County. And I think Chief Nunes saw that they were doing it in many cities and thought maybe we should try it and see if it helped us. We are a very different demographic than most of the other cities. So we're trying it for 2 months. We did through the end of March. So we'll get a report at our April meeting and we'll decide whether to continue it or not.
What was the desired outcome of that change?
Number one, time. It allows the few traffic officers, the 3 traffic officers that we have, to be on patrol for more things rather than taking time to stop a vehicle. We have not had, thank God, any physical altercations with people who are stopped, but there have been a number throughout the county. And I think they're just trying to make sure that we don't have those physical altercations when a car is stopped for either speeding or not stopping at a traffic light. So we'll get the report from the officers at our meeting and see where we go forward on that.
Thank you. Executive member hearings. This is Director Horton.
Because of the nature of the meetings, we had a meeting. And our next meeting will be on the 4th at 9 o'clock.
April 4th.
Yeah, April 4th.
Okay.
So,
Right.
and it's private again. So that's the end of my report.
Okay, thank you. And back to Director Skillman on the Disaster Preparedness Task Force.
We met on March 26th, and one of the things that we discussed was getting together with the city of Laguna Woods so that our disaster preparedness plans, our emergency operations plans, were not in conflict and that we could work together. And Chief Nunes and I had a meeting with the city manager, Chris McCann, and Annie McCrary, councilwoman, who had been a longtime member of our disaster preparedness task force. There is a company, Gerald Green, something Green, that is doing a survey for the city of Laguna Woods. And we have now contracted with them to do a gap analysis to see the difference between their programs and our programs and what we might need to add to that. Our program is very extensive, but it also is one that was done a number of years ago, which was preeminently people going to clubhouses if there was a disaster. And we determined that probably isn't the best way to go, and we now encourage people to shelter in place. We have we encourage supplies and how they can get in touch with first responders, how they can protect their pets. There's a lot of different things, but expecting everybody, in case of any disaster, to leave their manners and go to a clubhouse, traffic nightmare. So we're still looking at that, and we'll get that from the gap analysis. So our next meeting is May 28th. We meet every other month, and at 9:30 here in the boardroom.
Okay.
Oh, I forgot one thing. We had a super successful training for our building captains on March 15th. And it was very well attended. We had over 500 people register and 300 plus people show up at the PAC to undergo the training. We're going to have another one the first part of September with an expo with companies coming in to show disaster supplies and things like that. So I'm sure we'll get a good turnout for that also.
What is that date again?
All I know is September. I don't know. We don't have a set date. We want to get it before the Great Shakeout, which is the first part of October.
Excuse me. May I
Thank
ask?
you, Director Scully.
Can I ask you a question? You're talking about building captains, but what if I notice that my whole cul-de-sac has no building captain, or so are we trying to solicit that, or?
We are continually trying to recruit, but it's very, very difficult for a couple of reasons. When we went, I think, over this last time. A building captain gets in all excited. They do the initial work. They fill out the forms so that they have the contact information for all the people in their assigned area, whether it's a building or a cul-de-sac. And then they do nothing. And they sit and they wait, and there's nothing, and there's nothing, and they lose interest, and after a while they're gone. So we're trying to have more activities, tabletop exercises for them, that kind of thing, to get them interested again so that we can get more people to apply. Right now, it's very difficult to recruit.
Okay, good to know.
Thank you. Okay, and last is the Information Technology Advisory Committee, which I am chair. The last meeting, we showed that we are starting to wrap up. I'll call it phase one. We call it something else, but it's called phase one, which is basically the financial and administrative pieces of it, pieces that you don't see. Once that is completed, we'll start to move to the areas that you may see some of the results of, and that is resident services, etc. Just to remind everybody, this is an extensive rewrite. It's not just a program. This is an extensive rewrite of the digital footprint of this community. And it is practically all of the procedures and processes are being rewritten, documented, and converted to some sort of information technology format, so that is not only is it there written, but we're striving for a paperless approach. So there's going to be many changes, but it'll happen over years, actually. as BMS gets used to using the new technology. But it's kind of exciting. I know it's hidden. We don't see what's going on. The reason it's a closed committee, just so everybody knows, is because we're constantly communicating with the vendor. The vendor is actually reporting to us at those meetings. And so anytime we have a vendor involved, those meetings are closed. So with that, I'll go to future agenda items. I guess there are none so far.
No, we do. We have the racket sports.
Racket sports utilization.
Oh, yes, racket sports. Thank you. We got you. All right, that's a future agenda. And so we'll move on to director comments. We'll start with Director Rothberg.
No comment.
I won't say anything.
Director Zostak.
Donna works.
Yeah. Donna.
I first thank you for the opportunity. I'm happy to be here. And I just want to, based upon the meeting today, the interest from the community on our contracts for the PAC, I would like to have us keep in mind that we should pursue the consistency of our contracts and really keep that in the forefront and have our community aware of it. There obviously was a great deal of emotion, but when we deal with following procedure, it's much better. So would like to make sure we clarify that. So, other than that, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I have no additional comments.
Good.
No comment.
I do, and I probably should have made this after Siobhan's CEO report. 2 weeks ago on a Saturday, I supervised the library on Saturdays. We went in and all of our computers were down with big messages. Security.
Maybe beyond the scope of what the public should know.
Well, I disagree. Sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
Want me
I'll leave
talk
it up to
about?
you.
All I want to do is compliment our IT department, who worked over the weekend, got us back up and running. Our firewall was not compromised. It was our proprietary library system. They worked with them. We got it all back up and running, and we really appreciate all that our IT department did. So that's all I want to say.
Thank you. Bush?
No comment, thank you.
I have no comment.
I'm sorry I didn't say it sooner, but I want to compliment Siobhan and all the staff for that wonderful update on the efficiencies that they've been able to perfect. A good meeting.
And I want to thank you all, including our newest member here. And I thought today was actually a pretty good meeting in terms of getting community involvement. I know we kind of varied from strict control a little bit, but sometimes you need necessary to do that to get all of the flavor of what's going on in the community. So I'm glad you guys were able to bear with me. I want to thank also Siobhan and the whole VMS staff for all the support they continue to give us. Okay, it's so good we kind of take it for granted, but it is there. It's very good, and I want to compliment them again. And last but not least, I'll take Donna's comment about the contract analysis, and I think what we need to start to do is, one of the things I've tried to do is look at the underpinnings of what we do, including organization and all the things that we kind of take for granted as we go forward. Contracts with clubs, et cetera, is one of those things that we take for granted. So at some point in time, we're going to start to organize how do we review these contracts, all of those existing and those being proposed. Okay, as part, and I know we do, but I don't know that some of these that we kind of take for granted, dust off, re-sign, and move forward. Maybe it's time to take a hard look at what they're obligating us to. Because there may be issues that very similar to this that are not known to us.
That's a one-up.
That's a one-up. Okay, good. We'll take your written confirmation of that. Okay. Anyway, with that said, I guess we will recess to the next meeting, which will begin at 1 o'clock.